Sophie Cunningham stays standing on business.
Not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do.
Here's Sophie Cunningham. She's playing a key role for this Fever team.
Can't keep my hands to myself. I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
She's bad to the bone.
Pat McAfee gave Sophie Cunningham her flowers for stepping up when no one else would. Pat McAfee said it best, she's playing a very key role for this Fever team, a very key role in Caitlin Clark's career.
She's playing a very key role for this Fever team. She's playing a very key role for this Caitlin Clark career.
He's talking about Sophie Cunningham, and what she did wasn't just a foul, it was a message. Caitlin Clark's been targeted for weeks while the refs looked the other way.
Had mentioned that this had been going on for a couple years now with Caitlin Clark, and she was basically sending a message.
During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do.
Sophie finally said, enough. If you stand with Caitlin, drop a CC22 in the comments, and let's talk about what really went down.
Caitlin Clark sells out everywhere. I mean, she is a bona fide superstar.
Caitlin Clark is different.
Caitlin Clark is the best basketball player in the world. She's the best basketball player that I have ever seen. She is the difference maker. She is the needle mover. She is the face of basketball right now.
Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's the reason the WNBA is in headlines, the reason arenas are packed, and the reason millions of new fans are paying attention to women's basketball. She's the biggest draw the league has ever had, and yet somehow she's also the most targeted.
Caitlin Clark college basketball era with obviously Angel Reese and that LSU team and Coach Don Staley down there in South Carolina. Like that era, I think, followed into the WNBA.
From the very start of her pro career, Caitlin has been hit, shoved, poked in the eye, knocked to the floor, and night after night, the officials have looked the other way. She's taken cheap shots from veterans and hard fouls from rookies trying to make a name for themselves. But rarely, if ever, have those plays resulted in ejections, flagrant calls, or real consequences. And while all that's happening, Caitlin keeps showing up.
The scary thing is ratings as a whole are down. What does that mean? It means that the fans that are there for Caitlin Clark and staying are currently losing interest without Caitlin Clark.
Draining logo threes, keeping her composure, and carrying a franchise that depends on her.
Caitlin Clark sells out everywhere. I mean, she is a bona fide superstar.
But here's the part no one can ignore anymore. When Caitlin Clark missed just 2 games due to injury, WNBA viewership dropped by more than half.
When Caitlin Clark was out for 2 weeks, the viewership went down 55%. That is a bananas numbers for one person. So there is an importance to her. There is an importance to her, not just for her, for like the growth of the entire league. And I haven't chimed into the protect the golden goose talk.
One player, 55% gone. That's not just influence, that's value. That's proof she's not just a player, she's the product. Despite all that, she's getting treated like just another name on the roster. No protection, no star whistles, no acknowledgement from the league that she's being physically targeted game after game. The league can't have it both ways. You can't market Caitlin as the future of the sport, build sponsorships around her, sell out road arenas every night, and then let her get knocked around without stepping in. And fans see it. The players see it.
Caitlin Clark is different because of all the different eyes, so all the different opinions.
And how good she is.
Yeah, her play, number one. That's why she was the best college scorer, men's or women's, that you've seen.
Even legends of the game are speaking out, saying enough is enough. Because if the officials won't protect her, someone else will have to. And that someone was...
When we first played her, I just think she's had a lot of pressure on her shoulders, and I think a lot of people, no one's walked in her footsteps, and so it's really easy to judge and to say things, but at the end of the day, we all need to empower each other and be there for each other. I think she's done a lot, not only her, but that rookie class. They've brought a lot of attention to our league, and it's needed. Like, this is what we've always wanted, and so why would we not embrace them and make sure they're good? And so when we first played them, I was like, hey, keep doing your thing. Like, you're doing a great job. If you ever need anything, reach out. And then the All-Star game, we were just having fun. I mean, she was playing, I was having a good time on the sideline, and I kind of told her, I was like, hey, if you ever want to come to Phoenix, let me know. But that one kind of backfired on me. Now I'm here, which is great.
Body part B, Sophie Cunningham stands on business. Every WNBA fan had been asking the same question for weeks. When is someone finally going to stand up for Caitlin Clark? Well, someone just did.
Career-wise, from wire to wire, as far as the points that she puts up, the way she passed the ball, where she shoots from, you don't see many men doing this. Definitely the first woman we've seen play like this, so that's a huge part of it. But as far as the chippiness,
it was late in the game. The Fever were up big. 46 seconds on the clock. The win was already locked in. And that's when Sophie Cunningham made her move. A hard foul delivered to J.C. Sheldon that sent a message louder than any post-game interview or press conference ever could.
Had mentioned that this had been going on for a couple years now with Caitlin Clark, and she was basically sending a message.
During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do.
You don't mess with Caitlin Clark. For some people watching, it looked unnecessary. But for those who had been watching the pattern all season, it looked justified. Let's call it what it was. Controlled retaliation. Sophie didn't throw punches. She didn't create chaos. She delivered a hard foul and walked away. She knew exactly what she was doing. And in that moment, she wasn't just defending Caitlin. She was defending a principle.
Caitlin Clark is being targeted.
Marina Marbury, she was assaulted. Caitlin Clark.
J.C. Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face, swipes her in the eyeball. Marina Mabry, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground. That was a wild one. That was so unexpected.
Just ridiculous, bro.
That's Bush League bullshit.
If the league isn't going to protect our star, we will. And make no mistake, this wasn't out of nowhere. Sophie had history with J.C. Sheldon. Earlier in the season, Sheldon was involved in a play that injured Sophie's ankle. So when she saw Caitlin Clark, her teammate, getting knocked down, poked, and tossed around with no accountability, it triggered something personal. She wasn't going to let it slide. After the game, Sophie didn't apologize. She didn't dodge the moment. She owned it. She said it was a buildup. The refs had a lot to do with that. I'm a team-first player. I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. That statement alone set the tone. No excuses, no drama, just straight loyalty. And fans felt it. She wasn't reckless, she was intentional. She waited until the game was in hand. She picked her moment, and she made it clear this isn't about revenge, it's about respect.
Wasn't it like, how many people, there was a lot of people from Indiana on there.
Hell yeah, it was like, their whole starting five was in the top. Their whole starting five was on that list. Their whole starting five, even folks that came off their bench was on that list, bro. No cap. That's crazy, bro. But that really show you the influence that like Caitlin Clark got. Though.
No, that is, bro. People,
her influence is insane.
People
bro.
try to say that like, what?
Like,
man,
come on,
I'm stuttering. Like, come on, G. Like, let's just state the fact.
Like, it's folks coming off of,
like,
come on, bro. You got folks coming off of her bench, like off of their bench that's in that top 40, bro. Like, her influence is crazy. Like, you can't even hate on it because it's like...
You got motion.
You got like, real deal motion.
You got motion, bro.
Real deal motion, bro. She got real deal motion.
People in the sports world immediately started calling it what it was, a message foul. A wake-up call to the WNBA. One analyst called it the most beast mode thing I've ever seen in the WNBA. Another said, that was honorable. That was leadership. That was real. You know what's ironic? Sophie Cunningham had been labeled by some as a role player, a trash talker, a background figure. But in that moment, she became the one person with the guts to do what nobody else did. Put her body and her reputation on the line to protect Caitlin Clark.
Kathy is a disgrace. If she doesn't address the WNBA referee problem that happened tonight, it's because they failed to protect players and take control of the game. There needs to be a change.
And that changes how people look at her, because basketball isn't just about stats. It's about tone setting. And Sophie didn't just check Sheldon. She checked the entire league. She forced a conversation. She showed the officials what it looks like when players feel forced to protect each other. She reminded everyone watching that when the league fails to act, someone on the court eventually will. And here's what made it resonate even more. Sophie didn't go into this looking for clout. She wasn't trying to go viral. She knew she'd get fined. She knew she'd take heat, and she did it anyway, because it was the right thing to do. That's not dirty. That's not petty. That's called leadership. And in a season where everyone is watching Caitlin Clark, the question now becomes, who's watching out for her? Well, now we know. Sophie Cunningham is.
It's a 44-game season. I'm not going to play perfect for 44 games, and I think that's where I really kind of struggled last year at times. I held myself to such a level of perfection every single night that I wasn't really giving myself much grace, and, I didn't play very well at Golden State, and to me, I wasn't defeated after the game. Was I upset of the way my team performed? Absolutely, but that doesn't define our season by any means. I think it's you have to look at it in the best possible manner you can, and I think that's kind of where I've grown the most, is just allowing myself some grace, and knowing not every night is going to be perfect. 2 games prior.
Gosh, the guy with the fever, I think that's a guy with the fever microphone, is getting mighty close to her.
Prior to our last game, I'd been shooting the ball incredibly well. So it's just statistics, but overall, we need to play a better game. But I think it's just a sense of confidence just having a year under my belt.
Body Part C, the aftershock, McAfee, fans, and fame. When Sophie Cunningham delivered that foul, that moment of controlled defiance, she didn't just offend Caitlin Clark. She triggered a chain reaction across sports media, the WNBA, and the entire internet. Within minutes, fans were uploading clips, podcasts were clipping reactions, and social platforms lit up with a familiar phrase, "She stood on business." But here's the twist. While some critics tried to paint her as reckless, the numbers told a very different story. Sophie Cunningham's follower count exploded. On TikTok alone, she gained over 700,000 new followers in just a few days.
Let me scroll down. In the following 3 days, close to 1 million fans seem to have taken Cunningham's side. The 6-year vet from Missouri added 700,000 followers on TikTok and more than 244,000 newcomers on Instagram. I guess we've got a TikTok channel. I do, but I haven't posted anything on there in maybe 3 or 4 months. I was trying to put our videos over there, but I mean, my God, we're on Spotify and all that. Cunningham now has more than 1 million followers on TikTok and 730,000 on Instagram, with some fans dubbing her the, quote, the enforcer.
Her Instagram shot up by another 244,000, turning her from a niche WNBA name into a viral sensation. Her name trended nationally, and the moment was everywhere. Not just on sports talk shows, but on meme pages, reaction channels, and even news outlets that barely cover the WNBA.
Can't keep my hands to myself. I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
That's a flagrant foul.
And then came the merch wave. Sophie's jersey didn't just get a bump. It outsold Caitlin Clark's and shot to #1 in the WNBA store. In fact, it sold out completely. You couldn't get a Sophie Cunningham jersey online for days. That's the kind of impact usually reserved for MVPs or All-Stars, not role players who foul with 46 seconds left in a blowout.
Why Sophie Cunningham did this in the last 46 seconds of the game when they were up 17 seconds. The coach of the Connecticut Sun even called it out. He said that was just, he actually called it stupid when they were up 17 points, but it's clear. It was clear to at least most of us, at least the people that have been watching the Fever games, that
what makes it even crazier is this, that foul only cost her $400, but analysts estimated she earned over $1 million in exposure value from the moment. That's not a guess, and that's marketing math. She was already charging about $10,000 per sponsored post before the incident. After it, easily 3 to 4 times that. Brands love athletes who go viral, and Sophie, for once, went viral not for controversy, but for loyalty.
Had mentioned that this had been going on for a couple years now with Caitlin Clark, and she was basically sending a message.
During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. When we first played her, I just think she's had a lot of pressure on her shoulders, and I think a lot of people, no one's walked in her footsteps, and so it's really easy to judge and to say things, but at the end of the day, we all need to empower each other and be there for each other. I think she's done a lot, not only her, but that rookie class. They've brought a lot of attention to our league, and it's needed. Like, this is what we've always wanted, and so why would we not embrace them and make sure they're good? And so when we first played them, I was like, hey, keep doing your thing. Like, you're doing a great job. If you ever need anything, reach out. And then the All-Star game, we were just having fun. I mean, she was playing, I was having a good time on the sideline, and I kind of told her, I was like, hey, you ever want to come to Phoenix, let me know. But that one kind of backfired on me. Now I'm here, which is great.
We saw the Caitlin Clark effect last season. We saw the influx of millions of new fans, billions of dollars in revenue that came to the WNBA, and that was supposed to come to the WNBA this season.
You can't win a game without Caitlin Clark.
She's already starting on fire, man. She's ready to go. Look, jersey lifted up. Oh, throwing the jersey. Swing it around your head like a helicopter, then leaves the building. All right.
Meanwhile, some tried to push back. A small online petition was launched to ban her from the WNBA. The goal? Thousands of signatures. The result? 303 signatures. That's it. No traction, no momentum. Just more proof that the fans weren't angry. They were supportive. And that's when Pat McAfee stepped into the conversation. On his show, McAfee looked at the Sophie Cunningham moment and didn't flinch. He said plainly, she's playing a very key role for this Fever team.
She's playing a very key role for this Fever team.
A very key role in Caitlin Clark's career. That wasn't just a compliment, that was validation. Coming from someone with Pat's platform, that line reached millions. And he's right. Sophie's actions shifted the narrative. She showed that you don't need to be a top scorer to be a top leader. Sometimes your role is to protect the franchise, and that's exactly what she did. It wasn't just McAfee either. Countless fans flooded the comments on Sophie's posts with CC22 and enforcer energy. She even leaned into it, dropping a viral TikTok using a Selena Gomez sound.
Can't keep my hands to myself. I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
That's a flagrant foul.
Poking fun at the haters. In 24 hours, it cleared 3 million views. That's not backlash, that's fan base building. And all of this leads to one undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark is the most valuable figure in women's basketball right now. She's the reason the league is growing, the reason mainstream media is watching, and the reason new fans are showing up. But for all her skill and grace, she can't fight every battle alone. And Sophie Cunningham proved that she won't have to. In one moment, Sophie shifted how fans view enforcers. She made doing the dirty work a symbol of pride, not shame. And while others played it safe, she played it real. She accepted the fine, the criticism, and the spotlight, all to make a point that desperately needed to be made. If the league won't protect Caitlin Clark, then we will.
Caitlin Clark always show love to her fans.
We saw the Caitlin Clark effect last season. We saw the influx of millions of new fans, billions of dollars in revenue that came to the WNBA, and that was supposed to come to the WNBA this season.
You can't win a game without Caitlin Clark.
She's already starting on fire, man. She's ready to go. Look, jersey lifted up. Oh, throwing the jersey. Swing it around your head like a helicopter, then leaves the building. All right.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
And now, fans are rallying, the league is watching, and the tone around Caitlin's treatment is finally starting to shift. That wasn't just a foul, it was a cultural moment, and it was long overdue.
Can't keep my hands to myself. I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
That's a flagrant foul.
Sophie Cunningham didn't just commit a foul, she made a statement. To the league, to the players, and to the fans. Caitlin Clark is not alone anymore. The WNBA has a superstar in Caitlin, a generational talent who's bringing in viewers, sponsors, and fans by the millions.
We saw the Caitlin Clark effect last season. We saw the influx of millions of new fans, billions of dollars in revenue that came to the WNBA and that was supposed to come to the WNBA this season.
You can't win a game without Caitlin Clark.
But up until now, she's been taking hit after hit with no one stepping in. That's over. Sophie showed what loyalty looks like, what leadership feels like, and how one bold moment can flip the entire conversation. She stood on business, and now the fans are standing with her. So if you believe Caitlin Clark deserves respect, protection, and support from the league and her teammates, drop a CC22 in the comments right now.